Good evening, Venkatesh Krishnan. Good evening, Vijay Krishnan. Thank you
Hi Sanjay, how
Good
are you?
evening.
for coming to my show.
Thank you so much.
65 days of lockdown. What was your experience?
Not to be cynical, but I can say this: these 65 days was a humbling experience. It was a learning experience, and there were certain experiences which were totally comical. And at the end of the day, it only made us realize. In Hindi, we may call it "भाई तू गुरूर किस बात पे करता है." That's what I would say. That's it.
Vijay, how was your experience?
Yeah, see this
Vijay, repeat करना पड़ेगा. I think I'm losing.
lockdown has been I would sum up in 2 words.
Vijay एक बार और repeat कर ले.
It's been a boon. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For me, the lockdown, I consider it to be in 2 words, to be boon and bane. So boon in the sense that I've been able to find my culinary skills, some other hobbies which I've been able to do, going through some web series, interacting with my old friends, and a lot of other activities which probably I have never done last so many years, just because of the crazy way that we work. And bane, because of so much of time, I couldn't understand how to kill the time, so I would consider it to be a bane, because we are in a business of really working hard around the clock, meeting the deadlines and things like that. All of a sudden, you are into back to square one. So it was a bit difficult, but then that is how the life goes on.
2019 wasn't a great year for business. Then suddenly Corona आता है, and then lockdown happens. How do you see the post-Corona period?
So if you see the last about maybe 5 years down the line, there was a lot of disruption in terms of business activities. So maybe starting from a new government to then a lot of policy changes, and you can say demonetization. Then you had GST, then RERA, and so on and so forth. So probably every year we had some very big fundamental changes, and it was, and for a country as mammoth as 130 crore population, 1.3 billion population, these kind of structural changes which is made in the economy, it's not easy for everyone to adopt. And before you are adopting it, you find that another piece of thing comes into the system, and these kind of disruption really did not give the business a stability. So people were learning to adapt to these kind of situations, and then the COVID-19 struck, and again I would call it one of the biggest disruptions in the history of mankind. So I think the life is definitely going to be very, very different in terms of the way we interact, the way we do the business.
See, there has been a different kind of experience. See, what has happened is, if I start comparing it, what happened to the life which I have led, rather the professional life which I have led in the last 30 odd years. So in the 30 odd years, I would say I restarted my career from zero or negative 4 times. 4 times in 30 years. So it was in those kind of conditions I survived. Here, it's neither a zero nor a negative, but in terms of economics. Here, if something goes down, I have the base is so strong that I can only build upon that. Nothing else can be done. The way to look forward is only positive, but at the same time, being human, you always have certain fears of the unknown lurking behind that, and if those fears are overcome, I don't think this challenge will be there for a long time. And to get out of these unknown fears, I think the Indian philosophical method of staying put and physically and doing yoga, concentrating on nothingness, that may help to survive this present situation. And looking forward, as people are saying, what is the new normal? New normal may be something different as even what we say in the present context. If people say that staying at home and working from home, that could be a solution, I say that would absolutely not be a solution. This solution is only meant for people who sit on the desk and use the computer as an advanced typewriting machine. But if we have to survive, the farmer has to go to the field to grow crops, four crops a year, and it has to be harvested. It needs to come to the shop and then to your home. And if the food is coming to your home, you will survive. Otherwise, if the farmer stops working, nobody is going to survive. So right now, we have to look into the basics. This country has survived on agriculture economy for 1700 long years. Now, if we talk about these just 300 years, you see what has happened, what has done this to the mankind. So I think we should go back to our grassroots, and maybe we even become the food provider to the entire world.
See, a lot is being done by the government in terms of packages, labor reforms. What is your take on this?
As far as the government is concerned, definitely they are providing a lot of packages, but the most important thing is the execution. So just to give you a few examples, the current 20,000 crore package which the Honorable Finance Minister announced just recently. So as a part of the MSME sector, I inquired few banks, and I have come to know that the information or the guidelines has still not been available with those banks. So forget about maybe disbursing or maybe providing new kind of a support to different manufacturers. Until unless this execution starts taking place and it gets percolated into the root level, I don't think there will be much of a change which people are envisaging at this point of time. And another thing is that if you see with the lockdown, still a lot of factories, shops, or maybe labor are not available at this point of time. So what I would say is that even, for example, if I say that the lockdown ends on May 31st and everything opens up on 1st June, I still feel that for the normalcy to come, it will take minimum 1 quarter. So I think it will still be a long haul for the industry to come to terms. And plus, with the social distancing and with the COVID guidelines, I don't know how it is going to be. It's going to feature in the things to come. But as an industry, people will be definitely challenged in terms of taking up different kinds of job in the new environment. So that will this percolation has to happen across all the levels, all the strata. Until unless everybody is unison, this new normal which we are talking about or the new way of working will not happen. So I feel there is a big challenge and a lot of awareness still has to come, and that awareness can only happen post-COVID when the lockdown get open and things start moving.
This is the first time where even the government, it has never experienced this kind of a catastrophe before. And the day it is announced that a vaccine has been found, whatever we are discussing today will be put in the dustbin. It is human nature, and it is going to happen. But till that time, we'll keep on speculating what is going to happen, and once again, the fear of the unknown. This is going to keep on happening.
In a few weeks from now, we'll be back to work. Hopefully, production will start. That will be a new normal. But with a lot of restrictions and reservations. How are you going to cope with that?
Today, with the new type of guidelines that you have, the COVID guidelines which I'm talking about, it is being told that in the current scenario that only 33% of the workforce has to be there in the shop floor area, or maybe the industrial premises or the factory premises. So most of the people are still working from home, but ultimately for the production to go full fledged, so you need to have more people on the shop floor area. This is something a very difficult situation, because lot of overlaps happen when you do a particular job. So maybe from the construction point of view, if I talk, or maybe the interior point of view, if I talk. So maybe if we are doing a MEP, so maybe the uh, the electrical job has to be in conjunction with the POP job and the painting job. So all of them are related to each other. So you cannot ignore one for the other. So it is all in conjunction. So it doesn't mean that you have 50%. So if you have a 50% people or the labor workforce on the side, then probably you will have to have more time for executing the project. And I don't know how the clients would be interacting, or maybe are they comfortable with increased tenure of the project, because everybody is working on deadlines. So this is a challenge, and a strategy has to be put in place how this has to go about. And with the COVID guidelines also, every day you have to monitor the health of the people. Then you need to do the sanitization. So all those challenges are there. So unless these and precisely how much we talk at length about the guidelines and other things. But I feel only this will happen when we start working on the shop floor. So that is the time when we will come to know that this is the actual problem and how we are going to interact with it.
Today I was talking to a person, and he was also sitting at his place for almost 60 days, but he has to do something in order to earn his livelihood. Then the person said he's good at cooking, and there was an invitation to him to come to that place and start cooking for the people who are working there. But there was only one condition, that once he comes inside the premises, he is not supposed to go out even to do anything. So given that kind of a condition where there are people captive, we can't call it as a bandhua mazdoor, but in order to come to the maximum efficiency, where even after the guidelines, if you know that you all are there in what you call a controlled environment or a controlled premises, then you may not need to follow the guidelines. Maybe 50% of the guidelines may need not be followed, and you can work as normal as you were working pre-COVID. Okay. So what happens is, but the only thing is that you don't allow anybody else to enter that kind of an environment. Say, for example, if a company needs about 20 people to work, and then in that case, what you do is you keep the 20 people for a month or maybe 2 months as a batch, let them work at 100% without taking any precautions against these COVID, because everyone knows that nobody is infected because of that. Since you have kept everything, you have shielded yourself. You have shielded yourself into some kind of a cocoon. Then you can immediately go to 100% of that efficiency. I don't think there is a problem with that. But it depends on industry to industry how you put these things in perspective.
Now, coming to the workforce, okay, if you need 20, 25 people for a particular work, they definitely come. They will definitely report to work in a consumer because they want to get paid. But I'm sure the morale of these workers will be down. Their confidence will be down. What with the COVID thing, the back of their head. How do you plan to get back their confidence? Ultimately, we are talking about limited workforce. We don't know till when.
So Sanjay, what I feel is that post-COVID, see, I would just break it into pre-COVID and post-COVID. So when it comes to the workforce, we were more into the transactional mode in the last decade, if I would say. So transactional means the emotions are quite less in terms of it is to simply put, it is as simple as that. you do the job, I pay to you. So there was no humane emotions related to those kind of workforces. Post COVID, what I feel is that it has to be a teamwork. It has to be an environment where it is inclusive in nature, where you treat your workers or your employees as a part of the organization or as a part of the goal or the final end product. So when you start doing that, so you start also getting into their personal lives. So when you get into the personal lives, it is all about keeping them healthy, keeping them mentally sound, giving them the kind of environment where they are comfortable. So these kind of environments is much required, and we also
sorry, but that's a tricky part. All these things have been knocked off the labor reform thing. What you were talking about. All these things have been knocked off. The medical thing, the environment that you're trying to create. So for a 12-hour job, you can keep them for any number of hours. So all these things have been knocked off. So on one hand, you're talking about an emotional journey. On the other hand, the labor reforms and about so many changes. So it's a very tricky thing. So.
Oh no,
how would they know that they are working with the right people? That's the point.
No, it's a good question that you are asking, Sanjay. But then what happens is that it is on the personal choice, I would say, rather than making it a rule or making it a policy. Even with the labor reforms earlier, you used to have a lot of red tapeism. People used to harass the employees or the employers for different reasons. So even when you knock it off, it is more at a personal level, and it is more individual in nature. Maybe the particular group or a particular corporate, how they behave. And the most important thing, the way you treat your laborers, those are the corporates or those are the companies which is bound to grow, because laborers would also become quite comfortable with those kind of environments where they are committed to do a particular job, and other environments where they feel they are not comfortable, I think they will be the loser. So at the end of the day, you will have to be in a position where you are comforting your workforce to a greater extent. So just today, for example, another flip side of the work from home culture, if you see, I don't see the way the work from home culture is happening in India for the last 2 months. Initially, you had all the Zoom calls, and now it's bit like a slavery. Even for companies which are not working, which is not doing any production, you harass the employee right from 9:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock. This is not done. And at some point of the time, work from home, at least while we were going to the office or the workplace, you had some kind of an environment where you would sip a coffee, smoke a cigarette, and things like that. Still, you will try to disengage from yourself. But at home, you can't do anything because you are always in front of the laptop or in front of the mobile speaking, and 10 different people calling one at different points of time and taking different kinds of reports. It's ridiculous, actually, I say. So this is where I'm coming, that it needs to be humane in terms of the work that we are doing it. And that is how you will be able to achieve the productivity.
I would say this is a kind of a catch-22 situation, because one of my relatives who is working for a major software company, and he said he's been working for 60 days sitting at home, but he's been working for 18 hours a day non-stop, and he didn't even find the time to talk to his folks back here in India because he was so busy. He was just sleeping and working. Maybe I don't think he was even getting enough time to have his food properly. So I don't know. And this is with some kind of a major software company. And if this is happening in a country like US, I would call it an exploitation. And similar things may happen in India. And it is really difficult to even sit at home and start working in front of the computer. It's not easy. Coming back to the office environment, the pre-COVID factory environment, it is a catch-22 situation. Human being as such has got an emotion which is called selfish nature. Either the owner is selfish or the people who are working there, they are selfish. So exploitation will happen at both the ends. there has to be some kind of a win-win situation. Now that you said that labor reforms are going for a toss, labor reforms need to be reformed. So I would rather say that the management and the workforce should sit in front of each other, work out some kind of a solution which is acceptable to both of them till vaccine arrives, and I think it should be workable for both the parties.
How can we continue to tailor solutions to meet specific needs?
When you have a catastrophe like this, you tend to evolve differently. You try to react to the situation differently. Now, just to give you an example, before the COVID, the infrastructure, the hospital infrastructure was inadequate. Even the quarantine centers were inadequate. Today, now, if we talk about the quarantine facilities, so people, the government has taken maybe the exhibition centers. They have even built some quarantine facilities under the flyover. They have taken some schools and hospitals. So you are able to ramp up the quarantine facility in such a short span of time. So even the ICU beds, or maybe if I talk about the PPE, so even the Honorable Prime Minister also said that before the COVID, we were not having enough PPE available. We always had to import and then use it for a purpose. But in a span of couple of months, now you are saying that every other company is now making PPEs, every other company is making the ventilators, for that matter. Even to that extent, companies like Maruti Suzuki, Honda and automobile companies have also jumped the bandwagon to supply all this kind of medical equipments and medical. So when the calamity arises, then people also join hands to support for a solution, and that's how. So you need to be quite innovative in your way of approach, in a way of thinking, so that you are able to combat head-on whatever is coming your way.
The R naught factor was 4 on April 4th, and from 4, then that was a time when if we had retained that R naught factor, which is the factor of spread, if we had retained that, we would have been at least 1 million infected by this time now. Okay, now the R naught factor is 1.29. So that means we have done a tremendous job to bring down the infection levels. But for certain people, I would say, you were talking about the worker would be down in spirits. If that would have been the case, they would have been sitting holed up in their houses. But no, they went out, they ventured. Some people went out, some people ventured, and some people got infected, and they infected some people more. So the human emotions kept on changing of what could happen and what could not happen. And that was a major role to play for whatever situation we are in. And we could have controlled it better, but I can say one thing: if the R naught factor goes below 1, we can say that we have won this war. Now, on a daily basis, India had almost 1.25 lakh people passing away, leaving this world. And if you look at the statistics now, it is less than that. I don't know what could be the reason, but yes, we have controlled it. And there have been several rumor mongerings about people not being declared this way or people that way. This is all useless. I would only say people have been skeptical. People have been saying wrong things about the data which was being published. But I would only request people to start comparing the data which is there with you, rather than talking about the data which is not there with you. So if you compare the data with India, a 40% recovery is extremely fantastic, and there could be several reasons of this kind of a recovery. That could be one of the main reasons. I feel like, I'm not a doctor, but what I have heard from several people is the inoculation of BCG inoculation, which everyone was given. Because of the BCG inoculation, the second thing, more or less everyone in India had malaria, and because of malaria, everyone had those chloroquine, and because of that, they developed antibodies, and those antibodies, because of the BCG vaccine, because of the chloroquine vaccine, they are helping the Indians to fight this dreaded issue. We are growing because our infection levels are growing because more testings have been done. Till 2 days ago, we had completed 2.8 million tests. People are not ready to believe. But yes, it is a fact. It is there that we have done 2.8 million tests we have done. In 2.8 million tests, we have 145,000 infected and about 56,000, 50 or 60,000 recovered. It's a good score. The only thing is that I don't feel any more extension in quarantine is going to help. The only thing is that you have to educate people how to behave when they are out. And if they start behaving, I think we will get out of this problem as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sanjay. It was a pleasure talking to you.